it's Lauren with Bargain Bead Box, and today I am working with the Halloween Midnight Menagerie collection. So I wanted to make something with our bat pendant, something with kind of a little bit of an October night vibe. So today I'll be using our golden sheen obsidian bat pendant, the crystal beads, fun English cut crystals, and then the other golden sheen obsidian rondelles and 8mm rounds. I've got our little enameled bat pendants, of course the toggle clasp, some spacer beads, caps, and the chain from the box. The only things I'm adding is some 0.38mm 7-strand tiger tail wire. I've got some clamshell bead tips. It's our fine 2130 from Bead Box Bargains. We've got some other ones in stock too. And then since it's going to be covered up, I'm just going to finish off this pack of crimp beads I have open or that I'm working on. You're not even going to see it under the bead tip, so it doesn't matter what color it is. And then I've got this ring 140 mixed bag of jump rings. I'm going to use some of the silver ones. You need 4 of them total. Any kind of silver 6mm-ish jump ring will work. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I'm going to start out by cutting some wire. And let's see, I'm going to cut probably around 16 inches. I always leave some extra just because I want to have enough to easily mess with my crimp beads and bead tips and not have any trouble. Okay. I think I've decided I am going to add one other thing that I was going to show you. These are the 3.2mm round spacer beads that we sent with, I believe it was July, the ice cream box. We have them in the store too, 3.2mm spacer beads. I'm just going to use 2 of them because I want something to go under the bail and kind of hold it in place there. So just a small silver spacer bead. Seed beads would also probably work. You might need more than 2 of them, about 6mm in total thickness, whatever kind of small bead you decide to use. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and string on my clamshell bead tip. I really prefer the ones that have the 2 loops. They just are more secure on the jump ring usually. And then I'm going to string on my crimp bead. And now one thing I always like to do is take my wire end and go back around and through the crimp bead and pull it tight. And that gives us just some nice extra hold, I find. It gives it more to hold on to, and it just increases the strength of the piece. All right, I should really go get my crimping pliers, but I'm going to squish this first to hold it in place while I do that because I left them on my desk. All right, so because this is going to be covered up by my clamshell bead tip, I don't need the crimp to be super pretty, which is why I just went ahead and squashed it to hold it in place. But I'm still going to make it a bit smaller by kind of folding it in that central notch into a little C shape, and then folding that C shape in half and giving it another little squish there. Okay. So now I'm going to trim the excess wire. And then I'm going to take this clamshell bead tip, slide it up over the crimp bead, and gently close it. I'm going to give it a quick squeeze, not too hard because I don't want to damage it, but just to really get those halves together. And some people like to glue, to put a little glue on there to keep it very, very shut. If I had like a pokey end or a big crimp bead, I might do that. I'm not going to worry about it here. All right, so I'm just going to bead a really simple design. I'm going to start with one of our golden sheen obsidian rondelles. And then I'm going to do a spacer bead. There we go. Now I'm going to do one of these crystal beads. I love these English cut crystals. Then another spacer bead. And another little obsidian rondelle. This is a super easy, quick stringing project, so I like that. So here we go, just made this nice little pattern. And now that we've done that sequence, I'm going to do a bead cap, a golden sheen obsidian, not rainbow obsidian. Here we go. And then another bead cap. Here we go. All right, so that's our basic pattern. I'm going to repeat that 3 more times. Probably end up doing a total of 4 more of these little sparkly beads. And then we'll add our pendant in the middle. So I want to do a double strand with this. I want to make a nice beaded segment, and then I'm going to do a chain on top of that just for a little bit more that fun gothic sort of look. All right, so we've got obsidian, spacer, crystal, spacer, obsidian, then another bead cap. And the golden sheen obsidian, I love, it varies a lot. I love how some of it's super black and glossy, some of it has a lot of that golden shine to it. Just really fun. I'm kind of alternating a more golden obsidian and then a more glossy black obsidian, but it doesn't really matter. They all look pretty similar. All right, just repeating that little crystal and spacer pattern. Then we're ready for another obsidian bead inside these little bead caps. I love bead caps. They make me very happy. All right, so we did another one with kind of some heavy gold there. Time for another obsidian, spacer. These little English cut crystals. I think they look so nice with those spacer beads. All right, there's that segment done. Now for our 4th and final obsidian bead on this side. I'm going to try to find one that's mostly black. Ooh, that has a little bit of golden shine to it, but it's largely glossy black, which is what I'm going for. All right, now I'm going to do that pattern one more time. Obsidian, spacer, crystal, spacer, obsidian. All right, and now I'm going to string on these 2 little spacers for the middle. And you just want something kind of in that 3mm or under range, just because I don't want it to be bare wire under this bail. I want it to lay nicely, and I want it to look beaded all the way down. So now, we got his foot stuck in his bail. There we go. Maybe. If this bat will cooperate with me. There we are. It just kind of sits on top of those spacer beads instead of sitting over the bare wire. And that is one trick. I like to fill underneath large bales like that. It just looks nicer. And actually, you know what? I'll tell you what, I'm going to take that off for just a second. Before I do that, I'm going to put on another one of these rondelles just to kind of hold it in place a little better too. I think that'll help. Yeah. All right. So we're going to add a spacer, rondelle, then the 2 small spacers, then our pendant. Yeah, that's going to be really nice. And then another spacer bead there. Yeah, that's perfect. It gives it a nice little channel to sit in. And now we're just going to repeat this pattern all the way up the other side. All right. So this is a very quick project. It comes together easily, which are things I appreciate. Oops. No, that's right. It just threw me off having that on the other side of it. Things I appreciate when life is busy. And I don't know why, but this week it feels like there's just all the things. We had field day at Lynn's school, which was a lot of fun. I'm really glad that they started doing that in the fall instead of the heat of May in Tennessee. My goodness. It's very warm. All the grass was wet, but hey, I will take that over being 95 degrees out, you know. And I'm loving that it's finally, like, the leaves are starting to change to be really pretty. It's going to be awesome. My husband, Brandon, got his pilot's license, or pilot certificate if you want to be technical, a couple years ago. And one of the things we love to do in the fall is take our little plane and like go up and look at the leaves. So we'll hopefully we'll get to do that this weekend if the weather's nice. Just kind of cruise around. You see some of the Smoky Mountains. Get some lunch. It's very chill. I am not as huge a fan of flying as he is, but I do like the trees. All right, so what comes next? Yeah, let's get a nice golden shimmery one. Another cap. Yay. And I really like varying sizes of beads here, like this. Do the little rondelle, and then you have the spacer bead, which is a similar size to the bead, the crystal bead in between it. I just think that works very nicely. It looks harmonious. And I love the bead caps too. They just bring such a polished, finished look, I think. But that's my personal opinion. I really like them. Okay, we are already almost done with this segment. Okay. And then it'll just be time to finish off the other end with a clamshell bead tip. Alright, so this time I'm going to open it all the way flat just so I can get my crimp bead right up against it. Here we go. Like so. First I'm going to check and make sure I've counted correctly and that my pattern looks good. Yeah, that looks good. My ADHD brain, I always have to double check it. I'll get talking, especially when we do these videos, because I'll be talking while I'm working, and yeah, who knows what my brain is going to do when I try to do two things at once. Okay, so now again, I've got the crimp bead on, I've got my wire around and back through the crimp bead. I'm going to try to hold it back close to the clamshell bead tip here, and I like to curl my wire a little bit while I do this, just so I don't pull it so tightly that the beads will be all bunched up. I want it to have room to slightly curl naturally, but keep it pulled tight enough that there's not a huge gap either. Okay, I think that's going to be pretty good. Get my crimping pliers here. Again, we'll do the inner notch first to kind of make it a C shape, and then the outer notch to fold that C shape over on itself. Just makes it a little smaller and neater. And normally I wouldn't do this if I wanted it to be pretty, but this one, it doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to be secure. So I'm going to kind of crimp it with the middle of the pliers, kind of hold that in place there. Okay. And now I'm going to trim the excess. And then carefully fold this back up to cover our crimp bead. All right, that looks pretty good. Give it a little squeeze. Pliers. Which, I left them on my desk, and you can see my cat sat on them. The rubber handles, it's kind of gross. But no, there is something on the desk. He will sit on it. He's like a little dragon. Okay, so there's our beaded segment. I really like that. I think these obsidian beads echo this bead nicely. So now I've got to look at how it's going to hang. I've got to decide how much chain I want to go with it. So I want to make a second layer here out of chain. I'm thinking about like that. I want it to be a couple inches shorter because I want it to lay nicely. So let's see. It's that looks pretty good, I think. Yeah. Maybe just a couple links more. I think that'll be fun. Okay. So, I'm just gonna take my wire cutters and snip the chain. Break that link off. And now I am going to attach it. Ooh, where are my little bats? Here they are. And take these bats. I'm going to put one on each side. We're just going to open this ring up and attach the loop on the clamshell bead tips. Then the chain. String it through the very last link, which is not wanting to cooperate with me. Come on. There we are. And then also our bat there. Okay. So there's one end. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other end. Open up my jump ring. And then string on the end of my clamshell bead tip. End of my chain. Here we are. And then our little bat link. Well, it's a charm, but we're using it as a link. Okay. Yeah, I think that should hang nicely. See the difference in length between the chain and the beads here. I think that's going to look good. So now I'm going to add my second chain segment. So I got to decide how long I want this to be. I feel like I don't want this to be a super long necklace. So I think like probably adding another, I don't know, 9, 10 inches, maybe 10 inches. Like that. I think that'll work. Only, I'm actually, for this, I'm also going to add an extra inch. So I'm going to get it to the length I want it. And then I'm going to add about an extra inch because we're going to wrap it around here. And that's going to take a little bit of length too. So just add a little bit more to that. And now I'm just going to fold it over. And the first thing I'm going to do is double it and then trim off the excess. There we go. And then I'll find the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's going to be at the back. No one will ever know. But I'm still going to do it because I will know. Oh, and we've got a little bit of that link stuck in the end of this chain. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. And then I'll just find the middle. I just find that stringing both ends helps me find the middle very easily. Take that middle link and destroy it. Woo. With some force there. Okay. People always ask me where I get my wire cutters, and the answer to that is as cheaply as possible, usually at a hardware store, because I am very rough on them, and I feel bad paying for nice wire cutters when I'm just going to like mangle them all up. All right, so now I'm going to, honestly, tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and attach the clasp halves to these chains with our jump rings. So here we go. Open the ring up, and I'm going to put each end of the chain through so it kind of gets doubled over. along with 1/2 of the clasp. And then I'm going to close it. Oops. Well, I'm going to try. That was the wrong slot, clearly. Here, it's this one, I think. There we go. And we'll do the same thing with the jump ring. Open it up. String on one end of the chain. And then the other end of the chain, maybe. Oh, this is the one that had that little piece stuck in it. Let me see if I can get it out there. I've never had that happen before. Maybe I can grab it with my wire cutters and pull it off. Or maybe I'll just have to cut through that link. Yeah, that's probably the easier option here. Come on. There we go. Hate to waste a link of chain, but it's got to go on the jump ring. There we go. 1, 2, and then our clasp. And, well, come on. There we are. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take this loop of chain at the middle, thread it through our bat donut there. Then, yeah, find the center, pull the clasp half back around and through this loop, and then just, I'm going to pull that. You can be kind of careful and try to pull it even. This side needs a lot more. And play with that until I get it even here. I did it so nicely when I was practicing. But yeah, you just have to kind of play with it until the clasp is in the middle. And sometimes if you mess up like I did, it's easier just to pull it out and try again. Realign it here. I promise I'm making this look harder than it is. This is the first time I've not gotten it on the first try. There we go. Alright, so we're putting it through. Trying to keep it pretty even. Pull the clasp through that loop. And then just, there we are. So we've got the chain wrapped around the bat, which I think looks kind of cool too. But that's why I added that extra inch, because that does use up our chain a little bit. Okay, so there's one side. Now what we have to do is the same thing on the other side, which is pull the end of that chain through, try to even it out. There we go. That clasp half through the loop. Yeah, see, that was easy. That was, well, except I did it on his wing instead of his body, but that'll be 2 seconds to fix. There we are. Okay, and now it sits nicely. And we've got our clasp. Let me see, make sure I put this right side up so you can see it. There we go. So we've got our beaded segment and our chain segment. And then we have our 2 bat pendants and then a double chain segment leading to the clasp. Yay! And that is all there is to it. So if you are a Bargain Bead Box member, you got all the beads we used in this video plus a bunch more for $24.99 with free shipping in the USA. If you join now, you will not get this box. You will start with November's shipment. So that will be open. We will have signups for November open until November 9th. So we ship around the 10th of each month. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Had a lot of fun with this box. I'm going to make something more like classic black and silver next time, I think, and use that Obsidian teardrop. But for now, I really wanted to play with this bat. I'm like, I need a Halloween necklace in my life. So here we are. I appreciate you watching. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. We'll have more tutorials and other fun updates coming your way soon. Thank you so much to all of our members who make the Bark and Bead Box possible, and to all of our viewers. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and rest of your week. And as always, happy beading.